Hello, this is Roland. Welcome. Today I want to talk about stress. I want to talk about stress, what stress really is for we humans. When you study animals, well, there's a predictable set of physiological responses that occur when an animal is stressed or when a human is stressed. And Dr. Hans Selye, the father of stress management, he was a great medical doctor who studied stress. Much of what we know began with his studies. Dr. Ivan Pavlov over in Russia did a lot of studying of what happens when animals are stressed, and so we know that. And then a lot is known about trauma. Any stress is really, you could look at any stress as being a little trauma. Big stresses are definitely trauma, which has physiological, emotional, and mental effects or sequelae. And those are all well known. They're all well known. But it would be useful for you to learn them, so that you can see what they are. But you have experienced them in your own life. You have experienced many of them, and some of them you don't know you have experienced. Okay, if you got stressed out or upset about something, frustrated, then maybe you experienced an upset tummy or a headache. Okay. And then many other things. But that's not the topic of today's talk. I want to talk about what stress is for we humans from as far as the psychophysiological aspect or the psychic aspect of stress. Stress is, for we humans, is a pressure. And it's a pressure that elicits a response. And that response is obedience. That response becomes a conditioned response eventually, to which we respond whether we want to or not. Okay. Stress is a pressure. Now that brings up the topic of why would anybody want to pressure us? Why would anybody want to pressure us? You see, it's in freedom. Christ said, who the Son of Man sets free is free indeed. Okay, the idea is to be set free. We all know that. We who live in America, maybe Canada and some other advanced countries, are very spoiled because we have freedom here, a lot of freedom. People who come from communist countries, some third world countries with dictators, they know what it's like to have no freedom. So when they come here, they're happy and they appreciate it. Often they appreciate the freedom that they have. So we love freedom. Remember when you were a kid? Let me do it. Let me do it. See, you want to do it yourself. You want to watch mommy do something or daddy, but then you wanted to do it yourself. And if they tried to say, no, let me do it, you said, no, I want to do it, I want to do it. So we like freedom. And when we're forced to sit all day in a dusty classroom, well, we look out the window and we dream of being able, we can't wait for the bell to ring so we could run out the door and play on the playground or throw the baseball or the football or play basketball, see, or go do something that's fun. So we know what, we love freedom. Okay? We all like to do our own thing. We don't like to be told what to do. Sometimes we don't mind direction. If we don't know what to do and then someone gives us good direction, well, then we like that, of course. But in general, we'd like to have freedom to do what we like. See, you like to be able to listen to music when you want to, or go somewhere when you want to. Not everybody in the world has those freedoms, for various reasons. But we also like to be able to be free to think for ourselves, to figure things out. See? to understand things, to make up our own mind about things. See, that's the human, it's where we were created to be. But having said that, now you see that everywhere you turn there's pressure. And it begins in the home. Pressure to conform. See, pressure not to say something. Pressure to study, pressure to do homework. Pressure to sit still. See? And a lot of times it's unnecessary pressure. Little children need watching. They need a parent to always be there. Always there, watching, to make sure the child is safe. But that's what little children need. Then they play with the parent watching, so they're safe. The parent is there like a mother hen watching over them. But what do you see most of the time? Sit still. Be quiet. Be quiet. Sit still. See, even in a store, a little child is happy to be in the store and finds a box of cereal or something. Put that back. See, and then it just escalates from there until finally the mother says something like, "Okay, you're never coming to the store again, and you're not getting your treat today because you're being bad." Then the child starts crying. And everybody looks at the child as if the child is bad or something. But they don't realize that the pressure that's been going on and the threats, see, that have been taking place until finally the child begins to cry. So why would a mother want to pressure her own little child? Why would a father want to pressure a child? Some parents pressure with rejection. The child doesn't do what they want, then they reject, or either reject the child or pretend to reject it. Make the child do timeouts, go in a room, not come out until the child says he's sorry. That's pressure. Pressure. And then even worse than that, I'm just talking about the mildest things, which to me are horrific. Pressure. Then you go to school, there's performance pressure. The coach pressures you to perform so the team can win, so he can get glory, and the teacher pressures you. See? And then the other kids pressure you. And and especially here in the United States, the average child is put in a horrible school system where there's intense pressure from others, from the peers, from other students. Intense pressure to conform. And tease, massive tease. And the child who gets teased the most is often the one who wants to be free. See, who wants to think for herself, be herself. She wants to be different. She's the one that's singled out for extra tease and cruelty. So there's all kinds of pressure. Well, all I've done is scratch the surface. I haven't even talked about all the other pressures there are. But needless to say, that is what pressure is for we humans. Now, here's the other thing. Pressure is an onslaught. Yes, it's an onslaught. It's violent. It wants to penetrate. See, a lot of parents, rotten parents, unaware parents, or other authorities, they pressure and pressure and pressure the little child, or the child, until the child starts to burst into tears. See, why is the authority not happy until the child bursts into tears? Because when that happens, they've penetrated the child. Their cruelty, their tease has penetrated the child. On the playground, a lot of times a child is teased mercilessly by other kids or bullied, and for days, weeks, months, and finally the child, something happens. The child gets sick or screams or cries or starts acting out or does something, off the wall. Then everybody looks at that child as if he was bad, as if he was something wrong with that child. They don't see that it's a reaction to a huge amount of sustained, relentless pressure, tease. So what pressure does is its aim is to penetrate. Its aim is to separate us from our spiritual roots and place that outside command or agency or authority in its place. It wants to get inside and replace, push aside the good control system of where we're in rapport with where we're grounded and centered, and can think for ourselves and do for ourselves and act for ourselves and decide for ourselves. Replace it with the outside authority. It gets in and gets between you and your true self, and then it becomes your authority, that outside pressure. And the outside pressure becomes your authority in terms of what the words are, what the meaning is, what the suggestion is, what's being portrayed, see, what's being insinuated, what's being suggested, and also the authority, and also that person, their image gets inside, the one that's pressured you and got to you with some kind of pressure. See, now we all know what it's like to be pressured and teased with cruelty. We understand that. We know what that feels like as it's happened to us. So we know that's not good. But equally not good is the pressure to be good, or pressure to conform, like ambition pressure to be ambitious. See, which we get from parents and teachers. See, it's one thing to be industrious. I'm not saying that. See, kids would naturally be industrious, but when they're pressured, then it's instead of natural industriousness flowing from within, now it becomes a response to outside authorities' pressure. Or rebellion. See, a lot of kids that end up with learning disabilities, they can't read, or a lot of kids that rebel end up on the streets or in jail. What are they rebelling against? They're rebelling against the pressure of authority. See, where one child conforms and to the ambition pressure, another child rebels. See, but both of those are responses. And the authority still gets inside. The child that rebels, that authority still gets inside, the image of that authority. And even the spirit. See, remember, we're part heaven and part earth, part spirit and part matter. See, so there is a spiritual dimension to which we can respond, and it gets inside. The overshadowing, the guiding spirit of whoever it is that's pressuring you. And then it gets inside. So now you have a suggestion, which becomes a command. See, an insinuation, a tease, which is suggesting something. And the image of the person who's pressuring, as well as their spirit, eventually also gets inside and separates you from your true spiritual root system. See, the true spiritual root system is your intuition, what you know in your heart. And from that, if you were not pressured, you would grow, and you would continue to learn at lightning speed like you did when you were a little kid. Remember? You learned to walk and talk and all those things at lightning speed when you were a little child, when you were 2 years old, for example. So you would continue to grow from within naturally, and you would be in touch with your intuition, which is what you wordlessly know in your heart. It's the inner light from God. See, God intends for humans to be guided from within, to have a rapport with what's right. See, so if you love what's right, if you love principle, if you love what's innocent, if you love what's good, okay, or respect what's good, then you want to obey what's good. You're not forced to. See the difference between the pressure of the world, parental pressure and teacher pressure and coach pressure and peer group pressure and cultural pressure, the difference between all those pressures. See, and then of course there are other pressures that are brought to bear. A lot of countries, like, for example, in Stalin's Russia, they had a huge famine. They killed, millions of people were killed. Millions were killed. Okay? And it was an artificial famine. It didn't have to happen. It was engineered. It was by design. Because a famine is a tremendous pressure. Then there are wars. Those are tremendous pressures. See? These are pressures. See? The pressure of famine, of unemployment, the pressure of war, see? The pressure of being uprooted and having to move and migrate. These are pressures. Many of them, see, maybe most of them now in the 20th and 21st century are artificially created. Okay, fear, causing people to be afraid, constantly saying things to people that make them fearful. It's another pressure. So anyway, you got the idea. If you were close to your intuition, what I want to say is God wants volunteers, not conscripts. So the worldly system, it doesn't like freedom. It wants obedience. It wants conformity. It wants compliance. See, isn't that what they want? Compliance. Okay? And politically correctness that's another pressure. They want compliance. They want to control your thoughts. So they want you to see things the way they see them. And then say only what they want you to say. Do you see the cruelty of that? The pressure of it? The tyranny of it? See? So now you got the idea. Whereas God wants you to be free. To inwardly see what's right. And then to do what's right, or to see what's wise and do what's wise, or to see what is the right thing to do or what makes sense, and then do it, you see, willingly, because it makes sense, because it's the right thing to do. See? But outside authorities, they pressure you. It's said that the devil pressures you to be good, and God allows you to make mistakes. The devil pressures you to be good. God allows you to make mistakes. See? If you pressure someone to be good, then if they are good, they're only conforming to your pressure. You're conforming to them, to their image, to their bad spirit, to their command, to their suggestion, to their reward system. So it's not out of the goodness of your heart. See, it robs you of being able to do it out of it. So they're grace robbers. You ever heard that term, a grace robber? So they're grace robbers. Whereas God, on the other hand, he gently makes you aware of what's right or what's fair. See, or gently makes you aware that you don't know what's right or what's fair, but if you want to do what's right or fair, you'll wait until you do know. But then when you do know, then you can do it of your own accord because you love what's right. See the difference? See? So there you have it. And while we're on the subject, I could mention religion. See, religion is about the relationship between a person and his or her maker. That's true religion. See, Abraham, Isaac, Enoch, Jeremiah, those types of people. Noah, they didn't go to church. There was no organized church that they went to and sat in pews and sang songs. They didn't. They went about their business, but they walked with God. There was one man and his maker, one woman, Ruth, for example, and her maker. See? And that's the way God would like it to be. He says in the Bible, he said in the Old Testament, I can't remember if it was Zephaniah, I think it was Jeremiah. In Jeremiah, God said through the prophet, and then you see it repeated in the New Testament, in the book of Hebrews. God sent, behold, the day is coming when I will make a new covenant with my people, and it won't be anymore where one man will have to teach another, where one person will teach another, because I will write my laws into their minds, into their hearts. And I shall be their God, and they shall be my people. See? See how that is? Okay, so when it comes to religion, so what do you have when you have anyone pressuring you with religion? You see the horror of that? To be pressured or seduced. See, seduction is another pressure. Someone seduces you. See, to join a cause or to join a group, or see, they act real nice and they seduce you. But once again, what is seduction but something that gets inside of you? Suggestions, ideas, word pictures, see, promises that get inside to get you to obey them. And once it gets inside, then it then also separates you from your spiritual root system. So today I've begun this topic. I wanted to talk about the hypnotic aspect of stress. It's violent. Pressure is violent. See? That's why when people are pressuring, or when someone's very seducing, you see them coming to seduce you, you want to back off. Doesn't feel right, something not right about it. You want to back off, and there's something not right about it. And why is it violent? Because it wants to penetrate. And then separate you from your spiritual root system, from your own true self. That's what it wants to do. So now you see how trauma and traumas that happen to little children, you see how it's the same thing, just a more horrific version. It wants to get something to get inside of you, the image of that trauma, the image of that person. See? Well, all right, so I haven't even talked about the hypnosis part. Maybe I'll make it part 2. Because this is a very important topic. Very important for you to watch this. More than once. So you begin to dawn. You begin to understand. So you say, oh, I see. See, I'm not pressuring you to understand. I talk about it so that you might be able to say, oh, I see. So you have a flash of insight. See? Flash of insight. Then you see it. And then you can relate it to your own experience. See? And see, but if you can return to your spiritual root system, if you could return to it, you could find your way back to it, then you could be your own person again. Begin to flow from within. Okay? And that's what I'm all about. And I've been doing this for 25 years. That's what I'm all about, to like to see people restored to themselves. So in freedom, they can begin to flow, become what they were always meant to be. Okay? And so that the traumas are also undone. See, when you're restored to your spiritual roots, to the inner light from God, then you will have power. You'll have the power to observe people's pressures and to begin not to respond to them. There may be still some physical conditioning. You may still shake in your boots in front of some authority, like a teacher you hated, or someone who yells at you like your mom did, or someone who rejects you and is cruel like your father was, for example, or someone seductive like someone you knew a long time ago was. You see, you may still have physical reactions, but even those will become lesser and lesser and can go away. But the main thing is when you stand back in the light and observe in the light, see, then you'll be able to hang on to yourself and not lose yourself, not be overwhelmed again like you once were. Because it repeats itself. See, that's the hypnotic aspect of it, which I'll talk about in the next video. Refine yourself. And I do need to mention, because I can't assume that all of you are listening to my radio program, familiar with everything that I do, most of which I give away for free. I've written a lot of books. You can get them at Amazon, but my meditations, a lot of them are free. My blog posts, and so much of what I have is free. Okay. I need to mention I do have a a meditation. A meditation that helps you to become still and get back in touch, become centered, and re-find your calm center of dignity from which you can flow. Okay? It helps with that. My name is Roland.